Stop trying to look rich. That might sound strange in a world where everyone is curating their lives like a highlight reel, where success is filtered, cropped, and posted for approval. But if you really want peace, freedom, and long-term success, you have to let go of the obsession with appearing wealthy and start focusing on actually becoming financially strong, emotionally grounded, and internally secure. Because there is a massive difference between looking rich and being rich, and confusing the two can quietly sabotage your future. Looking rich is about optics. It is about the car you drive, the logo on your shirt, the restaurant you post on social media, the watch on your wrist, the neighborhood you say you live in. It is about signaling. It is about other people's perception. Being rich, on the other hand, is about ownership, assets, control over your time, freedom from stress, and the ability to make decisions without fear. Looking rich is loud. Being rich is quiet. The problem is that society rewards appearance. People compliment the new car before they ask about your savings rate. They admire the designer bag before they ask about your investment portfolio. They assume success based on surface-level cues, and because humans are wired for social validation, it becomes tempting to play along. You start to believe that if you can just look the part, you will feel the part. If you can just signal success, maybe you will internalize it. But here's the truth. Every dollar you spend trying to impress someone is a dollar that could have been building your independence. Every time you upgrade your lifestyle to match someone else's expectations, you increase your pressure to maintain it. And pressure is expensive. It costs you peace. It costs you flexibility. It costs you options. There's a silent trap called lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, so you upgrade your apartment. You upgrade your apartment, so you feel you need better furniture. You buy better furniture, so now you feel your wardrobe needs to match. It never ends. You are not building wealth. You are building a performance, and performances require constant funding. What makes this even more dangerous is that many people who look rich are not rich at all. They are financed. The car is leased. The watch is on credit. The vacation is paid in installments. The house is stretched to the maximum mortgage approval. On the outside, everything sparkles. On the inside, anxiety grows. Because when your image is funded by debt, you are not free. You are owned. Real wealth is not visible at first glance. It shows up in net worth statements, in low stress levels, in the ability to walk away from toxic jobs, in the power to say no. It shows up in choices. The wealthy person can take a year off. They can invest in a business idea. They can help a family member. They can survive an emergency without panic. The person trying to look rich cannot afford inconvenience. They are one unexpected bill away from collapse. Ask yourself an honest question. Are you making financial decisions to improve your future or to impress your present audience? Because those are two very different motivations. And one of them is rooted in insecurity. Trying to look rich often comes from a desire to be respected. We associate money with status and status with value. If people think we are doing well financially, maybe they will treat us better. Maybe they will take us seriously. Maybe we will feel worthy. But tying your self-worth to external perception is a losing game. There will always be someone with more. A bigger house, a newer car, a more exotic vacation. If your confidence depends on comparison, you will never feel secure. The irony is that true confidence often looks simple. It looks calm. It looks unbothered. It does not need to scream. When you're secure in who you are and where you are going, you do not need constant validation. You do not need the biggest logo in the room. You do not need to announce your purchases. You do not need applause for every milestone. Think about the energy required to maintain a rich image. You have to stay updated with trends. You have to keep upgrading. You have to make sure your social media reflects a certain lifestyle. You have to say yes to expensive outings you cannot really afford. You have to hide the stress. That is exhausting, and it distracts you from building something real. Building real wealth requires delayed gratification. It requires saying no when others say yes. It requires driving a reliable car when you could stretch for a luxury one. It requires living below your means, even when your income rises. It requires investing when it would feel more exciting to spend. It requires patience in a culture that worships instant results. The person trying to look rich wants to enjoy the fruit before planting the tree. The person focused on being rich understands seasons. There is a season for sacrifice, a season for growth, a season for harvest. You cannot skip the middle steps without consequences. Social media amplifies this pressure. You scroll through photos of people in designer outfits, high-rise apartments, tropical beaches. What you do not see is the debt, the family support, the credit card balances, the sponsorships, the carefully curated angles. Comparison distorts reality. And when you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, you feel behind. That feeling can push you to spend money you do not have to keep up with people you do not even know. But understand this. Wealth does not care about your aesthetic. It does not respond to appearances. It responds to habits, to discipline. 2. Consistency. It grows quietly in investment accounts. It compounds over time. It does not post selfies. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is redefining what rich means to you. Is rich a brand name? Or is rich waking up without financial anxiety? Is rich a flashy car? Or is rich having 6 months of expenses saved? Is rich impressing acquaintances? Or is rich knowing you could survive a job loss without panic? If your definition of rich is based on what others see, you will forever be chasing visibility. If your definition is based on what you control, you will start building stability. There is also a psychological cost to pretending. When your lifestyle exceeds your income, you live in constant fear of exposure. You worry about unexpected costs. You avoid looking at your bank account. You hope nothing goes wrong. That underlying stress bleeds into every part of your life. It affects your relationships, your sleep, your focus, your health. On the other hand, when you live below your means, there is a quiet strength that develops. You know you are not stretched thin. You know your future is being funded. You know you are building options. That peace is worth more than any status symbol. It is important to understand that there is nothing wrong with enjoying nice things. The problem is motivation. Are you buying something because it genuinely adds value to your life, or because you want someone else to notice it? There is a difference between appreciation and performance. One is internal. The other is external. Performance spending is dangerous because it never satisfies. The applause fades. The novelty wears off. The trend changes. Then you need something new to recreate the feeling. It becomes a cycle. And cycles are profitable for brands, but not for you. True financial maturity means you can separate desire from impulse. You can admire without acquiring. You can wait. You can plan. You can prioritize long-term security over short-term validation. Another hidden danger of trying to look rich is that it attracts the wrong expectations. If you present yourself as financially abundant, people may expect you to always pay, to always contribute more, to always live at a certain level. You trap yourself in an image that becomes expensive to maintain, and stepping down feels like failure, even if it is financially wise. Imagine instead building wealth quietly, investing consistently, increasing your skills, expanding your income streams, avoiding unnecessary debt, saying no to social pressure. Years pass. Your net worth grows. Your stress stays low. One day, you realize you have options that others who tried to look rich do not. You can change careers, start a business, move cities, take time off, help your family. That is power. Power does not always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like driving a modest car when you could afford more. But that restraint compounds. And compounding is magic. Trying to look rich often delays actual wealth because it redirects capital. Instead of investing in assets, you invest in liabilities. Instead of buying things that grow in value, you buy things that depreciate. Instead of funding opportunities, you fund appearances. Ask yourself this. If no one could see what you own, would you still buy it? If the car had no logo, if the clothes had no visible brand, if the house could not be shown online, would it still matter to you? Your answer reveals your true motivation. There is also a social illusion that expensive equals successful. But many truly wealthy people live far more simply than you would expect. They understand that wealth is not about consumption. It is about control. They do not need to prove anything. Their bank accounts do not require applause. When you stop trying to look rich, you free yourself from a performance. You start making decisions based on logic rather than ego. You begin to value privacy over publicity. You understand that money is a tool, not a costume. You also develop resilience. Because when your identity is not tied to material display, losing a possession does not feel like losing yourself. You can downsize if necessary. You can pivot. You can adapt. Your confidence is internal, not attached to a price tag. The world may not always celebrate your restraint. Some people might even underestimate you. They might assume you are less successful because you do not flaunt it. Let them. Underestimation can be an advantage. It allows you to move quietly, to build without pressure. 2. Surprise. Stop confusing admiration with respect. Admiration can be shallow and temporary. Respect is earned through character, consistency, and competence. Flashy displays might earn quick attention, but they rarely earn deep trust. There is a long-term satisfaction that comes from knowing you are building something solid, watching your investments grow, paying off debt, increasing your savings rate, strengthening your skills. That satisfaction is quieter than buying something expensive, but it lasts longer. The desire to look rich often masks a deeper desire. To feel enough, to feel secure, to feel bulwark. But those feelings cannot be purchased externally. They must be developed internally. Financial discipline is one of the most powerful confidence builders because it proves to yourself that you can delay gratification, plan ahead, and execute consistently. When you focus on being financially strong rather than financially impressive, you start thinking differently. You ask better questions. Instead of how can I afford this, you ask, is this aligned with my long-term goals? Instead of, will this make me look successful? You ask, will this make me more secure? This shift changes everything. It changes how you view raises. A raise becomes an opportunity to invest more, not an excuse to spend more. It changes how you view debt. Debt becomes something to eliminate strategically, not something to normalize casually. It changes how you view time. Time becomes an asset to protect, not something to trade endlessly to fund a lifestyle. The ultimate flex is freedom. Freedom to choose your schedule. Freedom to walk away from disrespect. Freedom to pursue passion without financial desperation. That kind of freedom is invisible on social media, but priceless in real life. Stop trying to look rich because the people you are trying to impress are often struggling themselves. They may be playing the same game, a silent competition of appearances funded by stress. Imagine what could happen if you opted out. Imagine redirecting that energy into building real skills, into networking meaningfully, into creating value, into investing, into reading, into health. Those investments might not get immediate likes, but they will pay dividends for decades. There is dignity in living within your means. There is strength in discipline. There is power in patience. And there is profound peace in knowing that you are not one emergency away from collapse. The goal is not to deprive yourself forever. The goal is to earn your upgrades, to buy luxuries from surplus, not from scarcity. To enjoy nice things without anxiety because they represent a fraction of your wealth, not a gamble with your stability. When you finally reach a point where you can afford something comfortably, without stretching, without financing irresponsibly, without stress, it feels different. It feels earned. It feels solid. It feels calm. That is a completely different experience from buying something to fill an emotional gap. In the end, wealth is a byproduct of habits. Small, consistent, sometimes boring habits. Budgeting, saving, investing, learning, negotiating, planning, avoiding impulse. Those habits are not glamorous, but they are powerful. Stop trying to look rich. Start trying to be disciplined. Start trying to be strategic. Start trying to be patient. Because one path leads to temporary applause and long-term stress. The other leads to quiet growth, and lasting freedom. And when you finally reach a place of real financial strength, you will realize something important. You no longer care about looking rich, because you know you are secure. And that knowledge is more satisfying than any display ever could be.